Hi, everyone. We're back with another episode of this podcast after a little bit of a break, and we're ready to talk some Orange County Soccer Club soccer. Ooh, that's a lot to say there. This is the Orange and Black Soccer Cast.
Towards the near post, the flick, and it's in. Darwin Jones with the response for Orange County, and it is a massive one. Off the goal, dominant in the last 10. Forrester in the middle now, gets around a few defenders. Forrester with the outside right foot. What a strike by Harry Forrester. It's the opening goal for Orange County. Looking for has it down. Back post. Opportunity and a goal. A beautiful goal by Orange County.
This is the Orange and Black Soccer Cast, the first and only podcast dedicated to Orange County Soccer Club, its fans, and supporters. Follow us on Twitter at OCSC_SoccerCast or on Facebook at Orange and Black Soccer Cast.
How's it going, Orange County? Welcome to another episode of the Orange and Black Soccer Cast, presented by Roughneck Scarves and Icarus FC. We are the first and only podcast dedicated to Orange County Soccer Club, its fans, and supporters. I'm your host, Ray Samora, and I am with you each and every episode, except for that one time, here to talk about all things Orange County Soccer Club. The one person that has been here every episode, including that one time, and making his appearance all the way from one of those flyover states. We got Dylan from County Line Coalition. Dylan, how's it out there in Iowa?
It is Iowa. As you can tell, it's very put together. Bit of a disaster, but no, it's good. It's cold here. It's like 30 degrees, and it rained, which I understand also happened in California recently. So, but no, I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad to keep my streak going. So take that, Ray.
I was thinking I might be able to take back, or actually Alan would have then had the streak for consecutive appearances. Alan in San Diego, how are you doing, man?
Great, and more great. Yeah, it's chilly down here, which means soup and fake fire in the fireplace. So we're happy for it to go from summer to like winter, I guess. We skipped fall, but I think we're gonna wrap back around and hit it again on our way back in. So don't worry, guys. We will have fall, and all you pumpkin spice folks can get your fall on before that mocha season of Christmas rolls around.
Such Californian in you, Alan, the fake fire for the wintertime. One more person to bring on before we actually welcome on a very special guest joining us. I don't know how many times now he's been on here, but he's representing County Line Coalition along with Dylan, I guess. But this is more true County Line Coalition, I think. And that's Andy. Andy, how you doing?
Hey, thanks for having me on. Sorry you caught me there. Hey, I'm doing great. Just like Dylan said, it's cold where I'm at too. I had to put on pants today for the third day in a row. Perfect.
And so, like I said, we have a special guest to bring on here with us. So I'm going to go ahead and just bring him right on so we're not wasting his time. We're going to welcome on the general manager for Orange County Soccer Club, Oliver Wyss. Oliver, welcome back to the Orange and Black Soccer Cast.
Gentlemen, thanks for having me on. It looks everybody's in a very interesting place, so it's good to see everybody here.
Yeah, we this is the way we do things. We just find random places that we can. I'm in a garage, and although it's not as cold as Dylan's weather there in Iowa, it's still cold when you're in a garage and it's 50 something degrees out here in Southern California. I know a lot of people are going to make fun of me. That's not true cold. But welcome, Oliver. So it's been a while since we've gotten a chance to have you on our show. And it's been a weird time since we last had you on our show. So let me get to this straight to this with you. The club came into the 2020 season with a very big announcement with the partnership with Rangers. Looks like things are going to go great. The club is being put together well. And then the virus struck, and I think it derailed a lot of the plans for most professional sports and the goals. How did COVID-19 impact this season from the way you built the roster, Oliver?
Well, look, we obviously felt very strongly after last year that we were adding the pieces we needed this year. Our goal is always to win the USL Championship. That's the goal of every organization, but we feel very strongly. We've been close a few times. And we felt, especially we're bringing back our most proven goal scorer, Thomas Ennewoldsen, in the off season, and having him for obviously the whole season here, that you could give us that lift, to really get back to the glory for the playoffs and compete for a championship. But as we all know, who could have expected last year, right? I think I was on the show last on the opening game when we played El Paso. And after that, we went on a 4 months break and so many different things happened. But look, overall, it was a very difficult season. I'm happy we did have a season there were a lot of times during the year where we didn't know we were going to be playing again. And I think as an organization and as a team, we made the most out of it. I was extremely proud of all of our players, how they conducted themselves during that very difficult time. But of course, on the field, we came short. We could have had maybe some excuses. Yes, we were in the toughest bracket. Yes, we played, every game was a tough game for us. But at the end, we came a little bit short. Again, as I mentioned, not having Thomas, who went back for the birth of his first daughter, and his family wasn't able to come back in. And we felt it was, at that time, the best decision to leave him over there with his family and play in Denmark, as we had him on a multi-year, and bring him back for next year. But as we can tell, even though we created more chances this year than last year, our conversion rate was simply not there what we needed to get back to where we wanted to be. But I think overall, while a little bit disappointing with the end results, not making the playoffs and competing for a championship, I think overall we had a good season, and the partnership with Rangers was in the beginning stages. And I think everybody's shown that we've developed their players. As we know, Danny Finlayson went back and got a deal into St. Mirren for the Scottish Premier League. Cammy got plenty of playing time. And also Aaron got transferred, Aaron Cervantes, to Glasgow Rangers. So partnership perspective, I think year one, we accomplished our mission, and we're only going to get stronger and better moving on forward. And I've been planning nonstop since the season ended for even more great announcements coming up soon.
And trust me, we love when we get to have these great announcements from the club, whether it's signings or development deals or partnerships or whatnot. Really quick, before we get on a little bit more to talk about the Rangers partnership and what we can expect out of that going forward, also talk a little bit about the benefits that it impacted the club. You have some experience as a manager or a coach out on the field for the team in the past. Do you have any explanation or any idea of what was going on with the players and why they were having such a difficult time getting the ball in the back of the net in 2020?
I think what you want to do as a team, how we've played the last few years, we want to create chances, and we want to be in the forefront, and we want to, dominate possession when we play, and we want to go out there. But the reality is, we had a little bit of tighter roster than usual. And also don't forget, we had 8 players under the age of 19, and all of them obviously played and contributed. So it was a little bit of transition there. Again, it was not for a lack of chances. It ultimately was just a lack of cohesiveness and clicking at the right time and finishing the chances that we had. And also sometimes we gave up silly goals on the break as well. So I think overall, it was not a perfect season. And there are many things as we analyze the season, and the technical staff analyze it obviously endlessly, what we need to do to get better. It was not really one factor, but I think the one factor everybody points to, and if you look at the stats, the chances we created, we were on top of the league, but the conversions, we were almost at the bottom of the league. And that doesn't depend on one player, right? That depends on everybody. We need to get better at set plays. We didn't execute as well as we could have. And at the end of the day, you got to put the ball in the net, as we all know. And I think a few more goals with the opportunities we had would have probably put us right there, because the reality is we feel we're as good, if not better, than any team in the league. And on any given day, we could be competing. But we also stick with the roster that we had, right? We didn't really make any changes where other teams, and you look at San Diego, brought in a few top quality players towards the end, and other teams added a few more pieces to it. We stick with who we have. We felt that the players earned the right to play this season, and that included our younger ones that worked really hard in the preseason. They also worked very hard during the quarantine, and they kept themselves fit, and everybody got the chance to play. And sometimes a little bit lack of experience maybe was part of it as well. But look, overall, there's not one thing, and you could analyze it multiple times. Again, I think if you would say the one thing we're missing was scoring goals, and I think maybe having Thomas would have helped with that, but there's also no guarantee for that.
Yeah, definitely Thomas probably would have been a big help for this team there. I think towards the end of the season too, you saw the players sort of pressing for those goals and maybe either making the extra pass that wasn't maybe the best pass, or, taking the shot too quickly. And then the shot, like you said, we had a lot of opportunities, just not a lot of quality opportunities there on the season. Let's talk about that Rangers partnership because that's been a big thing for this club. It's going to be a big thing for this club with the development in the future. Part of the partnership saw Aaron Cervantes head over to Scotland this upcoming season, apparently, or at least on their roster. I know there's plans to loan him out to a team out there in Europe, which will be very good for him. And then the players that they sent us, they're players from their youth team or their younger players that aren't getting first team minutes out there on Rangers first team. But they weren't sending us, players that weren't going to get or weren't going to take advantage of the opportunities. We got some good quality performances out of Cammy, out of Danny. Unfortunately, Matty Shields didn't really get a chance to showcase what he could do. What are your thoughts, or what's your overall grade on how that partnership worked last season? What are your thoughts, or what's the benefit going to be going forward?
Well, I think, as you guys knew, the partnership, and we had multiple European clubs that we looked at, it had to be based first and foremost on football or soccer, right? We were not as much interested on just marketing opportunities. We wanted to make sure it's based on players and player development, player movement. And I think it came together very fast, right? Obviously, we also had Matty Shields there. And Matty Shields was actually the one player we had the most hope for because he gave us something we didn't have. Very, very good left back that can get up and down the field, very athletic, very pace. And once he had to go home for family reasons, we were never really able to replace him and got the what we needed out of it. And then Danny and Cammy contributed. They played many, many games, as I said. I think the reality is we got extremely positive feedback from Glasgow Rangers, from all the players, from the coaching staff, how happy they were, the way we developed the players, we treated the players. And on the turn, they were also very professional players. But it's very clear for us, we're also looking now to get the next level players who already are with the first team, and players that maybe come over here that are part of our team that have already played for Glasgow Rangers first team, or some international players they're looking at. So I'm very excited about next year because the reality is the quality of players will be even higher than what we had this year. And not to take anything away from obviously Matty and Cammy and even Matty when he were here, because they were good players. But for us, we want to compete for the highest level, and we want to make sure we have the best players possible. So I'm sure we're all going to look forward to have even the next level players, and that can truly make a difference. And for our players to continue to showcase themselves for over there. I mean, look, Glasgow Rangers didn't take Aaron Cervantes because we had a partnership. Glasgow Rangers took Aaron Cervantes because they believe he's a player that down the line can hopefully represent their first team someday. And when they trained over there, Aaron, Diego, and Francis, they really proved themselves and they showed a great class. And the Rangers staff was really happy with the professionalism, with the talent, and they did really well in the games. So again, it's a partnership that really works on all fronts. But it's a partnership that's going to become a lot stronger as we go into year 2. I think you've saw in the first episode of our documentary. There's a few more coming out very soon. And then we're going to take this to a new levels next year, where you see more players, next caliber players, coaching staff more involved on both fronts, especially also with the USL Academy. So very, very exciting times. And we could have not gotten more out of the first year. And I think it's a partnership that really works for both sides and is only going to grow and get stronger.
Well, Oliver, I did realize earlier today when I found out you were going to join us, you've been on a few times, and we've never asked you probably our most consistent question, which is, what is your favorite vegetable? And I know, far from business ops, far from anything that could be happening on the field, but no one really listens to our podcast because they want serious answers, right? They're in it to find out.
Well, listen, I try to eat healthy as much as I can. So vegetables are definitely part of it. If I would have to pick one, I actually happen to like broccolini, but that usually comes with a great steak. So I don't know if we can say that the broccolini is the main dish, but if it would have to be one, I probably would be fine with that one.
Let me just jump on really quick, Alan. Broccolini, what an answer. My 8-year-old, that's like his favorite vegetable. He always asks me when I'm going to go shopping, Daddy, can you buy some broccolini? But let me say this. I've never made it the way I made it the very first time for him, and he's been disappointed every other time since. So I need to go back in time and try and recapture that. But broccolini is an awesome choice. And I think that's the first time we've had that as an answer on our podcast, right, Dylan?
There you go.
Yeah, he's shaking his head yes for those that can't see. All right, Alan, go ahead.
We hit on this a little bit there was a little bit of a lack of scoring, but not really a lack of opportunity. And I know that the season was for Ray, Ray was really disappointed. Obviously not the most exciting ending of the season, but do you feel like you're just like one or two pieces away? It feels like this team is like just one piece or two pieces coming together to really make the team sparkle. And how big was the recent signing in addressing some of those issues?
Yeah, look, again, as I said, when we look into the season last year, we lost in the playoffs. We lost against the eventual champion, right? And we had to go to Utah and play the game, and we had to play with 10 guys. And it's a game we would have fought if we could have played them at home. Wouldn't have ended up in 5th, but would have ended up in 4th, which we had all the opportunities to do so. That's a team we could have beat. We could have gone all the way to the final, give the run for the championship. But even then, we knew we wanted to bring back a proven goal scorer. And like I said, with Thomas the year before, when we went all the way to the Western Conference Finals, he had scored 20 plus goals and had 14 assists and made everybody else better and was a great leader. So I think if you would have had him all season long, that was the one missing piece. We had Michael Orozco here for the full season, and he's a fantastic leader. But then due to a little bit of shorter roster, we had many guys who had to play many minutes. And then when we played 2 or 3 games a week, you could tell that we were kind of running out of steam at the end of the day and dealt with injuries. And to be honest with you, a lot of our players played through injuries, and they showed great professionalism because they wanted to get to the next level, and we were there all the way. I think moving on forward, look, yeah, every team needs 1 or 2 pieces to ultimately get you to the promised land. And for us, it's always about trying to re-sign our core players. But it's also fair to say that a lot of our players who've done really well have a value in this league, and it's not as easy to sign everybody. And our players are being heavily recruited from other teams who are willing to spend more money. As all of our players, we have a budget for the players we pay, and we want to be competitive, but we also have to be realistic. We don't have some of the money some of the other teams have in the league, and we might lose 1 or 2 of these players who chose to go the money route and continue to build what we have. But obviously bringing in Chris Wehan, who we felt was probably the best free agent out there, who's had an incredible few years in the USL and has played against us multiple times. He's a player that we missed this year, because I think he's a player that when you need a goal, he can score goals, and he leads by example. He's a great role model. And on top of that, he's from Orange County. And we feel very, very strongly about this community and the fact that we want to be a club where the community is proud of. Having the opportunity to bring him back and for him to be here, I think will make a big difference, especially on the field, but also off the field, very similar to when we had the chance to bring Michael Orozco back. And so to bring these true Orange County role models and professional players back to our club, I think will enhance everything we're doing. And it's very exciting to we're able to announce Chris, and that he chose to come back to Orange County, where he's very fond. And when we talked to him, he actually used to come to our games when he still played in high school, when we still played at UC Irvine, and watched our games and was hoping to play someday for his hometown club. So it's a great story, and we're looking forward to have him play for us and show his talents here now locally.
And as I mentioned on our intro, we have a fan from County Line Coalition, Andy, on here, and he's a super fan of our show as well. So that's why we have him on here. I want to give him an opportunity if he has a question for you, Oliver. Do you have a question, Andy?
Sure. So really, I have a statement and then a question about something unrelated. So as a fan, and I'm hoping I'm speaking for other fans also, as I mostly want to say thank you for giving us a season. To me, it didn't end up the way we wanted, but to me, it was a gift. I think it probably would have been really easy for any given team to just say, we're not going to play this season. So, again, honestly, thank you for giving us what we were able to get.
Listen, Andy, and it goes the other way around too. Wanted to thank you. I know you're a super fan, as are all of you are, and for you guys to come to all of our home games. And he started off with a few, and then we probably had 20 to 30, and he brought the ladder out, and you guys were cheering us. Made a big difference. And I think as we said, and I was asked when the pandemic hit, originally, I think from the LA Times, it says, what is important? I said, look, for us, it's important now to take care of our community, and that's our fans. That's our players. That is our staff. Yes, of course. Look, we'll be lying if we wouldn't be competitive, want to win every game. But I think the fact that together we were able to play these 16 games, we're competing every game and day in. It was very, very difficult. It was hard for the players. You're talking about the Glasgow Rangers players, first time abroad, right? And they hit in a pandemic and dealing with that. Having players, like Michael Orozco, who have family at home and now had obviously his children at home, and he helped with homework, or other players who were just not used to this. So, and I know every club had these challenges, but I was very, very proud, like I said, how we handled it and how the players handled it. So I think, again, it was for all of us. It was difficult, but it was gratifying to see everybody play, and it was very gratifying for the organization, for me personally, and for the players and the staff to see you guys out there and doing so. And yes, of course, we were all disappointed that we didn't get to where we wanted to go. But trust me, we're a club. We're striving for the absolutely best, and we'll not stop down there, and we'll be better for it next year.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. So my question was, now I know that you are, I'm not sure the right word, but in charge of Soccer for Hope. And what do we have to look forward to from Soccer for Hope in the coming year?
Well, look, I can tell you this, and I appreciate you mentioning that. I think if you know my story a little bit and the one of my family, Soccer for Hope is something that is near and dear to our heart. It's a foundation that we founded about 22 years ago, and we've raised now almost, or actually over $4 million with our latest online event. It's all the money we raise. It's 100% volunteer. My wife runs the foundation, and it's for our time to give back. We founded Soccer for Hope originally after I had a bone marrow transplant that ended my soccer career, and we wanted to give back to the community. And then it turned into, obviously, through our own family, into losing both of our children to brain tumors, became a lot more personal, and our focus was pediatric cancer research. And so that's where our funding is going to. We've made some significant strides there on the research through studies that we founded. But it was also important for us, and especially for me, when I became a part of Orange County Soccer Club, that our players are role models and that they knew about Soccer for Hope and that they will give back. Because again, taking care of your community is very, very important. And all of our players in the organization have embraced the mission of Soccer for Hope. That is when we go to the children's hospitals and make a difference for these children, but also by doing the clinics, and we having an annual clinic, obviously, that our players are doing for the community that unfortunately we couldn't do this year, where we have hundreds of children and they learn about the mission, they're learning about the game, and they come out and enjoy, and our players get to enjoy being the coach and spending time with them. So I think what we have to look forward to is obviously doing clinics next year again. Hopefully we can make one more than this year, and to continue to make a difference during their year through children's hospital visits and stuff. So it's something, again, that we feel strongly about, the club feels strongly about, and hopefully our fans and our community feel strongly about as well.
All right, I think Dylan, you had a question?
I do. One last one. Oliver, lots of talk about the future, off the field, on the field, the work you do with Soccer for Hope, what you do with the club. Little bit of a rumor swirling around today that the teams decided for a May 1st start date. Is that something that you can confirm?
Well, I will tell you this, there's a lot of rumors, and I think what it will ultimately come down to, when is it safe, again, to play? Even this year, it was all about, can we actually establish a safe environment for our players and also for our fans? And ultimately, it was clear that we could not provide it for the fans with all the local guidelines, and it wasn't the right thing to do in protecting them. So I think there are many rumors out there. When we're starting off again, I think the one thing I can tell you, we'll be starting off again when it's safe for everybody, because I think we all believe we want to play in front of our fans. And when you cannot have fans in the stadium, yeah, it's simply not the same. We did it this year, but I don't think there's one team in the league that actually would want to play without fans. Obviously, from a commercial aspect, but also just from an entertainment aspect and from an atmosphere aspect. And the truth of the matter is, we still don't have a big TV contract, as you know. So having fans in the stands is a major component of all the USL franchises. So I cannot confirm what the date is, because to be honest with you, there's multiple days that have been thrown around. What I can confirm for you is that we will play and kick off again when it's safe for everybody, and that includes the players, the fans, the staff, and hopefully that's as soon as possible. But we, at this point today, it would be speculation that we could really pinpoint one date.
Perfect. I have one last question for you if you have a little bit more time,
Yeah,
Oliver.
of course.
I just wanted to ask you, because there was also, with all the announcements, we sort of left out the announcements of the academy team. And then also the club also has plans for even youth development in the area, which I know you talked about. The community is a big aspect of things, and I think that's going to be a big part of that. How important was putting that together as far as a youth sort of partnership with some local youth clubs, the academy team, and how important was that for the club as far as their development and their sort of mantra of pathway to pro that they've been pitching here for the last couple seasons?
I mean, for us, it was absolutely essential to have a second team. And even though it's our academy team, we're almost looking at this as a reserve team for us, because the reality is we'll continue to sign top young talents, but they also need playing time. And also know the USL championship level is on a very, very high level now. So you cannot compete for championships or playoffs if you would only play with young players, and they have to earn it, and they have to earn it in the training, and they have so to have now a second team for us where we can have more of these young players, right? And that is fully controlled by us. And I can confidentially say here that we also have some Glasgow Rangers coaching involvement there as well on this. We're really taking now the player development down from the first team into our academy team / reserve team, and just establish a better pathway for everybody, and looking at more of the talented players, because the reality is we feel very strongly that the most talented players should be in that professional environment starting at age 14 or 15. You look at the development of Francis Jacobs this year, who is now in top level, and he's evolved in that professional level. But obviously this year, with the limitations we had, he couldn't play any youth games, and he couldn't play all the minutes he probably would have wanted, or we want to give him for his ongoing development, as it is with Kobe, Henry, and everybody else that we have on the team. So I think this will give us the next step in development. It's a very important, critical piece. And the fact that we're controlling now our own academy reserve team, and if needed, giving these young top players the 90 minutes they need, if they cannot get it on the first team, is a very important step. So we're very excited about it, and there'll be some major announcement coming here over the next few weeks as well about it.
Perfect. Thanks for sharing on that. Ultimately, I think we've asked all the questions we sort of had planned for tonight. I know not much of a plan. We're just sort of shooting some questions off the top of our head, but we definitely want to thank you for taking some time to come on the show again, Oliver. Do you have any last message for the fans for the upcoming season, or is there any, plans that you can share with us that may be coming up soon, or any announcements that may be coming up soon, or
well, there's always exciting announcements coming up, right? But I think my thing is, and Alan said it actually best, truly, I can probably pass on the gratitude from everybody. I know what you guys doing with your show. Look, you know how important it is for us to continue to build a fan base, a culture. We believe we have a very good product on the field, and our goal is always to strive to win for a championship, but not at all costs, meaning that is we want to do it our way, with our restraints, but we have shown that we can develop players while competing, and we'll continue to do that. The goal is very, very clear going into next season. We want to be back in the playoffs. We want to win a championship, and all of our players want to do so, and we will not use any excuses. But I think it's going to be a very exciting time, but you also have to give thanks and appreciation during a very difficult time. And again, as I said, look, we want to be better on the field. We want to see ourselves playing in a championship. But I also, again, want to thank all of you, each single one of you, because you're making a difference. You're building this. Without fans, without support, and with all the family, we wouldn't have a club. And hopefully we can be better for next year. And I think you have a lot of things to look forward to as we're building a very exciting roster and a team that will compete, but also something that we all can be proud of. So again, my heads up is to all of you, and I really mean that from all of us. Thank you for everything you've done for us, and we're not stopping here.
Thank you so much for that. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, that is the general manager from your Orange County Soccer Club, Oliver Wyss. Thanks once again for taking some time to join us on here, and we look forward to speaking to you again in the near future.
Thank you, guys. See you guys soon. All the best. Thank you.
Awesome.
See you
Thank
soon.
you
Bye-bye.
so much. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So, or let me talk to you first, gentlemen. Unfortunately, that's what we have to say. Hey, it's not out of choice. We actually would love to have some alternative voices jumping onto this podcast and speaking with us, but we haven't found anyone that's interested yet. Maybe Andy, maybe you know someone, or maybe just by us begging here right now, hey, let's get some more voices on here. Thoughts really quick. I'm going to go to Andy first as like the fan on our show. Although you've been on enough times where you now can be sort of considered a regular guest. We're going to have to put you on the show notes now too. So we're going to have to get a good headshot of you to put onto our onto the page. But what are your thoughts after hearing from Oliver there about what happened this season, and his thoughts that he could share for next season?
I think it's fair, and my biggest takeaway from this season, from all levels of the front office and coaching staff, was the honesty and transparency. To stand up and say, hey, we didn't play as well as we wanted to, and not when you see it in like an NFL press conference and they're saying the dumb stuff they say every week, where, oh, we just got to execute, blah blah blah. But really taking a hard look as an organization and saying what's going wrong, and being able to pinpoint, these are the things that aren't happening. And Oliver mentioned it. He said, we created more chances than any other team. We just couldn't convert them into goals. And fixing a problem, the first thing you have to do is identify it. So, that's true in anything: business, personal life, soccer, footy, whatever you want to call it. So for me, the biggest thing I've gotten from, Chap came on, Oliver now's come on, Jeff come on. The players that have been on, they've all said, just super honest and said, hey, we didn't do the things we needed to do. And I think fans, for the most part, appreciate that. We can be disappointed we didn't win, but no one wants to be lied to. No one wants the truth just kind of brushed aside, or sunshine blown up our whatever's. This is a family show, so I got to really censor myself there.
You could say backside. I mean, that's not bad.
That's so English, though. Backside. I'm not sure.
What language
Bum?
do we speak?
Should I have said bum? No, when I say English, I mean like England English. That's not, we just don't say backside really. But anyway, you know what I mean. It's funny. This came up before. Am I talking too much? I feel like I'm talking too much.
It's all good. It gives us a chance to rest our voices. Okay. This is awesome. We don't have to talk much.
Yeah, when we were all quarantined for, I don't know, what was it, a year? I think it was only a couple months, but it was a year. I caught up and watched Sunderland Till I Die. And, there's such a difference between the first season of Sunderland and the second season of Sunderland when the ownership changes. The first season, it's really a lot of sunshine and rainbows and unicorns, and they're kind of trying to carry on business as usual. If you just watch the show, that didn't exactly happen. And then the second season, you've got new owners who are being very transparent and very clear about, here's the deal and here's what it is. And even there, a club like Sunderland, that's huge, massive club. Even there, the fans are still frustrated, but they understand and they appreciate the transparency. And that's how I felt about it from the beginning. It's nice to just have the club treat you with respect in that manner.
So can I just say this? This is the person that anytime we start talking about Premier League, he like will tweet out like boo, or he'll comment boo or whatever, and then he's bringing up Sunderland on our podcast. So just know, Andy, we're going to remember this. So next time we talk about Liverpool or Tottenham or Luton Town, we're going to remember this and remind you, hey, you brought up Sunderland on our podcast. You no longer can boo English soccer.
To be clear, I brought up the TV show. I haven't watched a single one of their games.
All right, we'll sort of give you that. Let me go to you really quick, Dylan. Again, talking about Oliver in here, because I think for those that listen to the podcast, you missed out his beautiful reaction when I asked the question about the lack of goal scoring. Dylan looked like a deer in headlights there for a second when I asked that question. But respect to Oliver, though, for taking that question and answering it honestly, right?
Yeah, massively. I cannot believe you asked that question. Sometimes you do things where I'm like, wow, I mean, he doesn't care. I shouldn't be surprised, though, because much like him answering that question and actually being honest with us, I mean, the club has been good to us. They've been honest and they've been open with us, and I assume, you know, if you were to ask a question that they disagreed with, they wouldn't just, you know, cut the cord and let us dangle and set us to be free to be some aimless podcast, or even more of an aimless podcast than we already are. But no, I mean, and honestly, it's great. I can't really talk up enough. I sound like I'm brown nosing. Like I'm putting my nose up somewhere, the backside. Yeah. To call back there, but it's actually really great to be able to talk to coaches and to talk to players and to talk to front office staff and get answers about them and have them be honest about the things that are going wrong, instead of everything being rainbows and sunshine all the time. Because if this year has taught us anything on and off the field, it's not all rainbows and sunshine. Sometimes you need someone to tell it straight and be honest and recognize that there are issues. And that's what we get here. And if only every other part of our lives was like this, we'd be so much better off.
Well, I think that's you want that from your leadership, whether it's in sports or outside of sports. You want, your leadership to be able to be accountable for what happened, right? So, this season did not go as planned for Orange County. I mean, we all know that. I mean, you guys know the grade I gave, which I appreciate you guys not bringing that up while we had Oliver on the show. But
you missed the last 2 episodes.
What?
It was an F.
Yeah, it was. It was. Hey, but you want that leadership that's going to go and say, yeah, it didn't go the way we planned, and it's we strive to do better. We're not. You don't want to just hear the excuses, or like Andy was bringing up, you watch those football press conferences, basically saying we just didn't do what we were supposed to do, type thing. I mean, yeah, that's sort of the answer, but it's usually more cookie cutter when you're seeing those press conferences for football or something like that. Whereas this was just honest answering. And he even called out your San Diego there, Alan, for bringing in, top quality stuff mid-season instead of sticking with the roster that you had to start the season. But
I mean, to be fair, that San Diego squad in the middle of the season was real rough. They needed a shot in the arm for sure. I mean, that was like right after I was like, they're not making the playoffs. This team will not make the playoffs. And they went out and got some guys.
But let me just ask it. I mean, isn't that supposed to be what it is, your first season as a professional sports team in America? You're supposed to struggle for a year or two before you are competitive. So, I mean, in the end, if San Diego would have played the normal way, they would have just struggled all season and went with that. I mean, but they decided let's just throw some money and bring in some players. But I think this isn't a San Diego thing, but go for it.
I think the refreshing, I think 2 things. I think you get a different answer if this was mid-season and you ask that question. Because I think you have to worry about, hey, here's the guy who makes career decisions bad mouthing me on a podcast. Not that they're listening, but I think you get a different answer mid-season than you do at the end of the season. Because I think teams right now with this potential longer off season are really looking at and identifying those issues of improvement, and they've already made a move that says, we realize that this is a deficiency. Let's go out and get a guy who can fit into our system and score some goals. Because ultimately, when you identify some of the issues, it wasn't on the back end. How many guys, Alan? I mean, you take the opportunities you have. Oh, it's a Chad comment. You take the opportunities you have to bring in guys, and I think with Orange County, I think they had the talent on the pitch. It just wasn't ever clicking, and if it clicked, they would have been fine. But it just never did. With a San Diego team, you get a phone call and you get a Guido on the line, you're going to take a Guido. I think with a Miguel Berry, he's choosing which Southern California team he wants to go to. And I think he made a choice. Like, I think he could have easily ended up in Orange County and played in Orange County and did well. I think it's Orange County was in a position of, I think that they're only a few pieces away, and they've already made some moves to address it, which is great. Like, we're already out of the gate. He is right. Like, it's probably one of the better free agents on the market, and it addresses a need that seemed to be a little bit lacking, that secondary goal scoring, that midfield goal scoring. And it really makes you feel like they're doing smart investments to tweak things in the team. And that's hopeful for Orange County, because they really aren't rebuilding. I think that they're in a position to tweak and adjust. It is refreshing to hear honesty. And I don't think we've ever not got that out of him. I think he's always been very open with, here's our plan, here's what we're doing, and so you can always see that he's thinking next season after when he's making decisions, which is always refreshing with a sports franchise. You don't want guys going, I want to save my job now. It's, I want to invest into this club. So we might hit a bump here and there, but I know that this team is going to be successful for the long run as well. And that's great.
I mean, and I think that plays to what the club's been preaching the last couple of seasons, is that pathway to pro, that youth development, that bringing looking for the hidden gem locally and bringing them in and bringing in some professionals to help them along their way, which we've seen. And I'm glad to see that that's the plan there. And I think, you're not going to do that as a GM unless you have the backing of your ownership, right? So if you had an owner that's saying, no, we need to win now, we need to, bring in the players for now, then we might not be seeing that. But apparently it looks like that this is the plan for this club, is to bring in a mix, develop youth, build those programs, find those hidden gems locally, bring in some veterans with experience and make that work, which I'm comfortable with. I like that as a game plan. I'm not one of those fans that wants to I don't want my team to just go spend all their money and bring in all these big name players and then hope it works, right? And then, financially there's concerns or issues or trouble in 5 years. I also don't want to be one of those teams that's bringing in all youth players and, hoping just one season it magically works out, that you just have this amazing group of youth players. Orange County tries to do that blend, which I think is going to be good for the longevity of the club and also keep them very competitive throughout the seasons.
It's also not just good veteran players. They're good veteran players who are already invested in the community as well. You're bringing in those local guys that have a connection to Orange County that make it even more meaningful, because it's not just on the pitch, it's off the pitch as well.
And I hate to say this, I didn't know anything really much about Chris Wehan before the announcement a couple days ago, and I researched him. Yeah, he went to the high school that my kids will probably go to when they get into high school. So I look at that's pretty cool. Like, my kid might follow in those footsteps in the near future. Let's talk about, because we spent a lot of time here talking about the club and speaking with Oliver there. I want to get to a couple other things really quick. I want to speak about the sad news that came out of Reno in the last couple days. I think Reno holds a big place in some of our hearts. 3 of us here went on a road trip to Reno. Not this last season, but the season prior, for the opener. And it was a really great experience. The fans there welcomed us. They treated us like we were one of their own, even though we were the opposing fans. That flag that's sitting behind Andy, if you're watching live, got stolen at the stadium. And those fans that we made friends with, they were furious about that. And they were like, and even the ownership there in Reno, or not the ownership, but the general manager in Reno was like upset about it and was looking into that. And luckily it was found and brought back to us. But unfortunately, if you haven't heard, Reno announced they are folding operations, which again is so sad because it was such an awesome place to go as a USL soccer fan. Reno was a great stop. Those fans were amazing. And it was a competitive team, which sort of, I think, confused a lot of people. Really quickly, because I don't want to take up too much time for this episode, because there's a few other things I want to talk about. Quick thoughts on this. I'm going to go to you first, Andy, because you're the person behind that missing flag that got found. So you have a lot of knowledge about Reno, their fans, and even their team, their ownership, or their management.
Yeah, I wouldn't say a lot, but some. From my perspective, I know there are going to be different opinions about different things that have happened in Reno. Our trip up there was, like you said, it was great. Just side note, Oliver bought us a round of drinks before the game started in the stadium. But mostly I feel bad for the fans because they were all passionate. They seem to drop pretty well. My understanding from what I've read from other people is the ownership did not see a way forward with a local soccer specific stadium. And from what I, again, understand, their thought long-term was there's no money in this long-term if we can't get our own stadium, so we're out. I think that's the worst possible thing that could happen to a lower division club, is for some owner to just decide they're out. And we could argue all night about what's wrong with the American soccer pyramid, and we're not here for that. There's plenty of other podcasts you can go argue about that on. But I mean, I read the news and I was just gutted. I started texting the people I know up there, like, is this true? Did this happen? And I won't name names, but more than one person told me they were in tears over it. It's just terrible story.
Yeah, no, it was definitely a shock to, I think, all of us. Maybe Alan knew just because the day before he had a knowledgeable USL person on his show, so he might have known this was coming. But it was a shock to most of us. And again, for those of you that have followed our podcast through the years that we've been around, the Reno podcast up there, 1868 Weekly, has been one of our biggest partnerships. I know we haven't had those guys on in a while, but they were one of those podcast shows, that we sort of bonded with really quickly. John Macaluso, who started that show back in the day, sort of used to joke that he was the unofficial third co-host of this before Alan joined us back in those days. And then even, just a side note, and I think we've shared this before, but when Dylan and I made the trip up there for that match that Andy was talking about, that Oliver bought the round of drinks for everyone, Bradley didn't even know who we were at that point, really. Volunteered to be our chauffeur around town that day. And he picked us up from the airport, took us to the fan juice bar meetup before a match with some of the players.
Jers.
Huh?
It's Jers because it's a U with an umlaut.
Okay. Oh yeah, I remember that.
Cheers.
We were sort of
Andy's favorite joke.
sort of wondering what was going on with that. Took us around a little bit. And then we all got to go hang out with their fans at their bar before the match, and it was a good old time. I mean, if you follow our Twitter account, I posted some pictures from that. I didn't share many, but because I didn't have many to share, but I shared some of the pictures from that. And then, took us to a brewery afterwards that almost caused Dylan and I to miss our flight back home. Yep. There's an amazing picture that's from the Reno fan bar, right across the street from the stadium too, which was really cool. Us here in Orange County, we don't get to experience that awesomeness of going to a bar that's literally right across the street from your stadium and being able to get drunk and then walk right across the street and go to a soccer match. So it was really awesome. And again, these were some awesome fans. They shared their traditions with us. Who can forget the Malort, whatever that stuff is that is nasty, but we all tried it because we were there and they were offering it to us. So I feel really bad for the fan base there because it's really great fans. By the way, for any of those fans, if you want to jump on and become sort of official, unofficial Orange County Soccer Club County Line Coalition members, we'll welcome you on board because you guys are awesome people. I know there's teams a little bit close to you. I know you guys won't go to Las Vegas or Sacramento, but who knows what the plans are there. But really sad news. Anyone else have anything else they want to share about this before we move on?
My heart really goes out to them. We would all be in the exact same situation if this club folded. They were a really great group of people. We had a really, really great time up in Reno last year when they came down. Plenty of lots of new faces. Such a great group. So, maybe don't forget that we're all just fans of lower division soccer, and realistically, this could happen to any of us at any given time. So try to be nicer to one another every once in a while. We had a great time bantering back and forth, and we had a great time getting way too drunk and almost missing our flight back, which I'm sure
Dylan stumbling not once but twice on the way to the, or maybe 3 times. Who remembers, on the way to the plane, and then almost throwing up on the flight back. Oh,
but
so glad I did not go with you guys.
You did carpool us to the airport, but you went on a different flight.
Yeah, I didn't get drunk at the brewery. I got drunk at the pregame.
The funny thing is, we went to the brewery and we got back to the airport like 45 minutes before our flight, and lo and behold, that's when they were calling the last call. So Dylan was freaking out and running and was drunk when he was running, so he couldn't run well. Yes,
stumbling is a more accurate term. But honestly, I really love the relationships and the friendships that I've built in this sport, and so when it is safe to do so, I hope we get to not only see them again, but to see some new people around the USL and around the league, and hopefully not miss any flights, but definitely have some fun.
Yes, definitely. Alan, any last comments on this, or are you ready to move on?
I just think it's a larger move of MLS 2 sides, MLS attached sides getting moved out of the league, which has its benefits, has its drawbacks. Unfortunately, Reno is one of those. But Reno will live on. Ian Russell will find a job somewhere because he's too smart not to be hired. 3 of their guys hopped up to MLS. There are several more big names out there from Reno. They're a talented squad, so they will live on next year on someone else's team. And just like St. Louis, it's sad to see 2 kind of a storied franchise and a important franchise or a successful franchise in Reno both go away. But this is the nature of lower league soccer. Nothing is forever.
And let me say this: I have no I don't run County Line Coalition or anything, but Battleborn Brigade, if you want to come down to an OC match, random OC match, and hang out with County Line Coalition, I guarantee you they will welcome you there into their section and allow you to cheer along with them and have a good old time with them. So make a trip down to Orange County if you ever have a chance to. That we would love it. Let me get on to this. Andy, he didn't just join us randomly. I mean, he sort of did, but he did want to speak of an awesome thing that happened recently. Well, a crappy thing that happened that turned into an awesome thing. I don't know the best way to say it, so I'll let Andy get into the details of that. But there's a reason why he has that FC Austin Elite scarf hanging there next to the County Line Coalition flag. Andy, share this story of crap that turned into a story of awesomeness.
I had to change my hat. So I'll try to be brief. And before I say anything, I want to be clear that I don't speak for. This is a story about my daughter's high school team. I don't speak for the team. I don't speak for the coach. I don't speak for the booster organization, and I don't speak for the school or the school district. I'm speaking only as a parent. So I just wanted that to be clear that I'm not speaking on anyone else's behalf. So anyway, the story I think it was on the 19th of October, and that seems like a lifetime ago because first we had horrible wildfires in Southern California, and then we had an election, and just so much chaos has happened in that time. I really had to sit back and think about the sequence of events. So we had a meeting on the 19th because soccer is going to start and they're going to play in the winter. And, normal booster meeting, they're talking about fundraising and this and that. And the coach, who's a really good guy, he says, one of the things we want to do is we want to build up our own strength and conditioning equipment, like have our own gym. because right now we're sharing with all these other programs and it's hard to get time, so we want to get our own set of equipment. Oh, and hey, by the way, we also need to replace all of our field equipment because everything got stolen. So like a lot of schools, our program stores all their gear in a big sea container that's, plopped on the campus near the fields. And some point over the quarantine break and the summer break, some dirt bags went onto campus and broke into a bunch of these sea containers and stole a bunch of stuff, including pretty much all the soccer equipment from the women's program. I can't speak for the men's program. My understanding is just the women's. And it was all the soccer balls, all their audio equipment, so like loudspeakers and stuff for when they're doing, beep test and drills and all that stuff. All that stuff just completely gone. I did a quick kind of tally of what was missing, and it was easily $3,000 worth of stuff without even, breaking a sweat. $3,000, and that's a lot for any high school program to try to come up with, because we also not only have to try to replace all this stuff, we have to get money for the coming up season and all those things that happen. And I heard this, and I was just completely gutted. Trying not to get emotional. This is a program that our coach basically, I don't want to say from scratch, but basically from almost zero. The story he likes to tell is when he took over the program, the varsity team was playing in kits that were 8 or 10 years old or something, and they didn't have new kits, and there was no mechanism to get new kits. The district only pays for a varsity coach and assistant. So, obviously one of the other programs is going to suffer if you only have 2 coaches and you want to have 3 teams. So through a lot of hard work, he's not only turned the program around competitively, but also fundraising, booster group, all that stuff. And just to hear this was just, it made me really angry. So I was venting on social media. Well, wait, before I go any further, what questions do you guys have?
I think we're just sort of like involved in this story right now.
Okay.
Andy, so go ahead, Alan.
What happened when you went to social media?
I feel like
way to transition, Alan.
I feel like we're on Law and Order, and I just, just making sure. So I was just kind of venting on social media, primarily Twitter. And that's what people do, right? We vent on social media. We don't normally think that anything is going to come of it. We just need to, get the head trash out. And immediately, many people jumped up and said, "How can I help?" So I emailed the coach. I'm like, "Hey, I've got this really big network, and I want to ask people if they can help us solve this." And he said, "Absolutely, go for it. See what we can do." So, I got a Venmo account. No, I didn't get it. I got the one that the team uses. I got tax IDs for the 501c3 for people who wanted to write it off, all that stuff. And the following day, I posted again on Twitter and just basically told this whole story, but in 240 little character posts to explain the whole thing. And I was shocked at how quickly we went from pretty much rebuilding a program from ground zero to having all the stuff replaced within about 24 hours, between people buying stuff on Amazon, sending money through Venmo, snail mailing personal checks, which I haven't written a check in probably 12 years, but people sending in checks, and I'm not trying to make light of it. It just blew me away. And these were mostly strangers, people that I kind of knew on the internet. Like when I was a kid, my mom would always say, "Don't meet people from the internet." And now here are these strangers rescuing my kid's program. between, myself, my kids, my dad, my kid's grandfather made a big donation. Several soccer clubs did. A bunch, the local community kind of got together and sent in some things. One of our crosstown rival teams hand delivered a check one day and said, "Hey, here you go." My kid's a senior. And I just wanted to have a as normal senior year as possible. Losing, I don't know, 40 or 50 soccer balls. How do you come back from that? Because it was all the team stuff. Everything was gone. Balls, ball bags, bibs, sound equipment. Pretty much anything that could be sold by tweakers was stolen. The two I really want to specifically call out, Chad from Orange County SC reached out and said, "Hey, we want to help. We have a meeting today and we're going to talk about it." Great, awesome. That sounds awesome. And then kind of out of the blue, a podcast called Our Cup of Tea, I think it's called, also on Twitter. They kind of retweeted and tagged a few people. And one of those folks that reached out to me was FC Austin Elite, a women's team, obviously, in Austin, who plays in the UWS. And whoever I'm talking to, the person in charge over there says, "How many balls do they need? I'm ordering some for a foot golf tournament, and I'll just tack those on. It's fine. Don't worry about it. It's no problem. And I'll ship them right wherever you need them to be shipped." And like that, the problem was solved. So that's where we're at. I have a list of shout outs that I'll get to in just a second. But I'll obviously miss some people. It's not a personal slight on you. There was just it happened really fast, and I am beyond grateful that I don't sleep on a bed made out of $100 bills, and there's only so much I can do. But using the tools I had and strangers stepping up and fixing it. So I made a list. So let me read my list. So obviously, Orange and Black Soccer Cast, Fairweather Pod, Countyline Coalition, Kevin at the PRFC Fan Show, Our Cup of Tea, DJ up in Reno, Harry out in San Antonio. I think it's Monica McPhee. I'm not exactly sure what her name is.
Soccer mom.
Yeah, her. I've only seen her on Twitter, and I've seen there's a video about her, but I don't know her real name. Also Rising Nation. Also this is my favorite one, Space United FC, which is an amateur team apparently made up of aerospace engineers. Kind of interesting little niche there. But yeah, definitely a special shout out to Orange County SC and Aiden Quinn. Personally reached out to me and asked how he could help. And then, again, FC Austin Elite coming in deep with the select soccer balls and bags, and they even threw in some bibs for the kids because like I said, all our stuff was just gone. That's the whole story. If you contributed, thank you very much. If all you could do was amplify the message, thank you.
Look at this, Andy trying to make us cry on this episode. Yeah, honestly, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm getting teary eyed watching this guy talk about his daughter's soccer program. This is the amazing thing about soccer. Sports is an awesome thing, but for some reason, soccer is this community of people. If you find out someone is a soccer fan, you just instantly want to talk to them, learn more about them. And when we saw this come out, and then when we saw the responses, like you said, soccer mom out there in Phoenix responding, asking what she can do to help. And then, all these people offering this help to a high school soccer program that they have no affiliation with. They'll never probably go to watch one of these matches, but they wanted to help. It's this heartwarming story, and it sucks that it had to happen because, it sucks that their equipment had to get stolen, but it's awesome to see this just sort of community across the nation of soccer lovers getting together and saying, what can we do to help out? Whether it meant, like you said, actually buying equipment or just spreading the message. Cause I guarantee you, FC Austin Elite or the aeronautics soccer amateur team, they're not going to know what the heck is going on with your local local high school soccer team unless people are spreading this message out in social media. And so many times we see social media is used as this negative tool to like share bad experiences or to trash talk or whatever. But in instances like this, this is a beauty of social media where, a dad who's just, venting their story about what happened to their daughter's soccer team. It turns into this beautiful message. And, I know I'm going to speak for Dylan and Alan, because I think I'm going to get these words right. We're appreciative for everyone that responded, that shared, that donated or purchased items for your daughter's team, because it sucks what happened. But that's what the beauty of this sport, the beautiful game of soccer is. There's a reason why people love this game, and it goes beyond being just a fan of one team and only caring about that one thing. It's caring about the big thing. So props to anyone that did anything to help with that. And we definitely wanted to get you on the show. You mentioned it. We took some breaks because of fires, because of elections. I mean, 2 weeks ago, for those that live in Southern California, we were having some pretty bad fires here in Orange County, to the point where there was a Monday night where my inside of my house, with all the doors locked and closed, smelt like I was right next to a campfire, and it was horrible. So I told Dylan and Alan, like, I can't do a Tuesday night podcast because it's still smoky, and my lungs, my eyes, my throat was just killing me. And then, of course, an election comes up, which was a pretty big event, and I didn't want to compete with that because there's no way Orange and Black Soccer Cast is competing with a national election for people wanting to listen. And because that election, basically went on for 5 days, there was no way people were going to really pay attention to a little podcast about Orange County soccer. So I wanted to get you on for that. I appreciate you sharing the story. And again, thanks to anyone that helped out with that. And I know we're going longer than we normally like to go, but this was a very big moment for the soccer community. I feel it was awesome. Dylan, Alan, do you guys have anything you want to throw on with that? I know Dylan's like talking overtime here. I don't know what time it is in Iowa, but he should be in bed by now.
It's just refreshing to see a lot of really good people coming together. And it does really show that you can banter all you want, but when it comes down to it, we're all just trying to find our place in the world. And sometimes it's refreshing to see people who you've kind of gotten into it with or had your disagreements with really coming together for a good cause. And I'm super happy to support and be able to see that support for not just soccer, but youth soccer, and specifically girls youth soccer. To see that support for that is great. And hopefully, 10, 15 years from now, these girls will be off thinking about what a positive experience it was for them to have this season with that equipment. And then that leads them to do good things for others in the future as well. And it's just going to keep that positive energy going forward.
Yeah, I mean, Ray, you even mentioned it with the fires 2 weeks ago. And even again, people that aren't here, people that support, our biggest rival, obviously they can't do much when there's a fire. They can't come out and fight the fire, or stop the winds or anything, but they reached out and they wished us well. And this is massive. it's the same kind of stuff we had and maybe even have with arena supporters. It's really nice to see just how large this community is, even if you only know a handful of people. It makes me happy. It gives me a little bit of hope as a young person that maybe we will be okay, and that there are things to enjoy that extend far beyond the field.
Yes. And again, to just jump on top of that, I mean, it's awesome. It's an awesome story. It's in social media doesn't typically lead to an awesome story, but in this instance, social media led to an awesome story. Hopefully your daughter has an amazing season with her team, Andy. I know it's all still crazy the way things are going. Sports is crazy. Hopefully, I don't know what's going on in Orange County. I hear there's going to be this like second wave, or that we're entering a second wave, and we might lower to a lower tier again or something. But it sucks because these kids need some normalcy in their lives, and hopefully this all becomes a great thing for your daughter and her soccer team, and they get to have a good season.
Yeah.
And plus you're super fans, so we got to love you.
Yeah. Just one last time to say thank you to you three guys. And I know you all amplified and chipped in, and I just can't say thank you to everybody enough.
And props to like the fans, like the Phoenix fans, like Dylan was saying, our arch rivals, basically. A lot of them were jumping on that saying that sucks. What can we do to help? And I know I'm going to say this, the Phoenix fans are catching a hard break right now because of things that have happened recently with their team. The team doesn't represent the fans. The fans have their own beliefs. The things that happen with the team are different. So don't get on the fans for things the team does. Just like as Orange County fans, if one of our players did something horrible, we wouldn't want to be held responsible for that as fans, because we are all our own people, and most of us are pretty good people. So, yeah. We didn't get to do player grades tonight, which is awesome. I don't care because we had a great conversation with Oliver and Andy and a couple of things there, but I want to get into quick random thoughts here to end the episode, as we always do, and then we'll wrap things up. Apologies for an extra long episode, but great messages going around today. Let me go to, I haven't heard Alan's voice in a while, so I'm going to go to him first for random thoughts tonight.
So my random thought is the journey of Damian Quinn kit has finally come to an end. They tried to send this to me several times, but now I have the Damian Quinn Soccer's kit. So now I just got to get the Braden Cloutier kit at some point to finish my San Diego Soccer trifecta with Quinn, and now hopefully Cloutier. So I'm looking forward to celebrating Orange County through San Diego Soccer's gear. That's my random
we should find out if you can get that Braden Cloutier kit. Hopefully maybe we can get him on the show. We can ask him if he would wear it to an Orange County match, just as a thing. We'll just if you get that kit, get it before we get him on the show. We'll ask him, hey, can you wear this at a match just in honor of your soccer history? Dylan, random thought.
Well, I can answer that question for you. He definitely cannot wear that. That is against some USL rules.
He could wear it under his tracksuit. Landon Donovan carries around a supporters group scarf wherever he goes. So, I mean, why can't Braden Cloutier wear something like under his suit or under his tracksuit, or wrap it around like a preppy does back in like the 90s around his neck? Hey.
Stop.
No, I'm talking about like Zach Morris back in the days on Saved by the Bell.
Stop.
You wear like a sweater around his neck.
Stop.
My random thought is that I want Braden to wear 20 polos to every game, and he want like Kennedy it with all of the collars up. No, my actual random thought is we should be good people. And I know this is my random thought like every week, but election day might be over or whatever, but that doesn't mean like work stops, and we have a long ways to go in a lot of places, and we should be good people and keep fighting for what's right, the same way that the soccer community came together for EDHS. You know, we need to come together for each other and for the other people that are around us in our communities and all the communities, basically. I don't know, just more hippie stuff. Be a good person, like wear a mask. I don't know. Peace and love.
He doesn't know. Andy, random thought from you.
Random thought. Check out FC Austin Elite. They have some cool merch. There's profanity on the back of this, so I can't really show it to you. And then it's pretty rated PG-13 profanity, but profanity nonetheless. FC Austin Elite, they play in the UWS. Check out your local UWS team. The FC Austin Elite person told me that there will probably be some new teams announced for that league. So hopefully we'll see that happen. The high school my kid goes to is El Dorado High School in Placentia, California. It's Eldo Soccer on Twitter, ELDO Soccer. If you want to check them out, check out FC Austin Elite. And also check out our Cup of Tea podcast on the Twitter machine.
Awesome. And then I'm just going to throw out this completely different. I am someone that likes to buy things right when they come out. So I bought a couple new things recently, technology based. The Pixel 5, which is a pretty decent phone, not the greatest, but a decent phone. And I also bought the mini fridge from Microsoft that came out today, actually, if you're listening on the podcast. Still trying to figure, my thoughts on that. It's, of course, brand new, but I got up at 5:30 in the morning, drove out to Best Buy and bought the mini fridge from Microsoft, which was a pretty fun experience. Better than the previous experience that I've had where I've camped out all night to buy these devices. So instead I got up and picked up my mini fridge at 6 in the morning.
Consume.
By the way, if you don't know what I'm talking about when I say mini fridge, it's the new Xbox Series X, which looks like a mini fridge. A really mini fridge, but a mini fridge. Read a book. Come on, it's all about video games, fella. I want to thank Oliver for joining us on this episode. He's joined us a few times, but it was awesome because we actually got to spend a good amount of time and we asked him some pretty good questions. Dylan asked him about vegetables, but the rest of us asked him about soccer related stuff. So that was pretty fun. Also want to thank Andy for joining us and sharing the story with what happened with his daughter's soccer team and the amazing outcome that happened from that. That was pretty awesome. I'm realizing now as I'm looking at this, like the branding for our show is like cutting off my eyes. So all you're seeing is my nose and my mouth as I talk, which is probably pretty cool for most of you. Really quick, Dylan, social media, where can people find you?
You can find me right there at OCSE_Dylan on Twitter, /u/OCSE_Dylan on Reddit, or at eldonnews.org under the byline Dylan Allen.
Alan.
Underwood 48 Twitter machine.
Andy.
Yeah, I don't know what mine is, but you can find me pretty easily.
Just type in Too Slow and you'll probably find him, right? Andy Too Slow.
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. And you can find me at DJ Ray Samora right there. There we go. On Twitter, you can also follow the podcast on Twitter at OCSE_soccercast. You can go to our website, OCSEpodcast.com. I think I got that right. OCSEpodcast.com to listen to our episodes, read something we write, even though we haven't written anything in a while. Dylan, write something. Or Alan, write something too. I know you're busy as teaching though, Alan. Dylan just is chilling in Iowa, so he could definitely write something if he wanted to. I want to thank all of our listeners for listening, as they always do. Alan, are you ready?
Thanks to our sponsor,
Hold on. Wait, I haven't got to you yet. Okay. Go, Alan.
Thanks to our sponsor, Roughneck Scarves, official scarf supplier to the MLS, USL, and US Soccer. Get your custom scarves for your group or team at roughneckscarves.com. Are you tired of those same old uniforms and cookie cutter templates from Nike and Adidas? Looking for a unique, completely custom kit for your youth club, Sunday League squad, adult, or even pro team? Even pro. Icarus FC can help you create the kit of your dreams at an affordable price. Let them help you design your new custom kit today at IcarusFC.com. That's IcarusFC.com.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Orange and Black Soccer Cast, and we are